Chad.
Hi,
Hi.
everybody out there. Did you know something? I was in the Navy. Did you know that?
I know that. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Did you guys know that? I was in the Navy. Now you know that. You know who else was in the Navy?
Mr.
Ballin. But not only was he in the Navy, he was in an elite group of men who dominate like futuristic space ninjas and have all this crazy technology and skill. So he was a Navy SEAL, which was very interesting for me to find out, and I didn't know that until I saw this video pop up about Mr. Ballin's story.
Yeah, I knew he was in the Navy, but I didn't know he was a
From
Navy
Navy SEAL to scary YouTuber. Now, he himself does not really scare me, but now that I know he's a Navy SEAL, he probably should. But more so the stuff he talks about and the stories that he tells.
Creepy stuff.
It's creepy stuff. But I'm interested since he's commented on our reactions to his videos. He seems to have a fan base that's like really ballin'.
Oh, wow.
I thought it would be appropriate for us to share with the people who watch our videos and for us ourselves to learn about this guy who seems to be such a nice guy, really awesome storyteller, and obviously one of the baddest mofos to ever walk the planet ever. If you would join us, check out the story of Mr. Ballin, from Navy SEAL to scary YouTuber. What do you think?
I'm interested.
You ready? Shorty is ready. He's passed out right now. But here we go. We're going to check this out.
What's up, everybody? My name is John Allen. I was a Navy SEAL for a little while, and then I got out and became a scary storyteller on the internet under the name Mr. Ballin. I'm 31. I've been married to my wife, Amanda, for almost 10 years. We met in college.
Wow.
And we have 2 daughters, and we're about to have our son literally next week. So. Wow. You know, fingers crossed that goes well. A couple of weeks ago, I put a story out on my Instagram that just asked, hey, if you have any questions for me, I'm going to do a Q&A on my YouTube channel. And I was just floored by the number of questions people had for me. It was incredibly flattering, so thank you. I kind of did the easy button and generalized questions that were being asked more than once and created a list of questions that I'm going to go through on this video today. Before we get started, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please push the like button into the Grand Canyon, and also subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get going.
Creepy.
Spooky.
First question, where did I grow up? So I grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts. It's a town just south of Boston, about 10 minutes south, about 100,000 people that live there. It's a fierce New England sports town. Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots, Celtics. Somebody asked me about my famous while we're young mother story. When I was in high school in Quincy, I had a homeroom period in my schedule, basically a free time period, where I was in the same room as one of my older sister's really close friends. And I just naturally sat next to her. There was nothing going on between us. I knew her because she's friends with my sister. And apparently her boyfriend really took exception to that. He thought that I was like hitting on her and trying to take her away from him. And I wasn't. I didn't even know this was going on. But either way, apparently it got out that I was like, hitting on his girlfriend. And so I was challenged to a fight. So Quincy, it's interesting because when I was growing up, street fighting was like a really big part of the culture. It was like a time-honored tradition that at some point you're probably gonna get into a fist fight with somebody and you gotta like defend your honor, that's just how it was. And the people I hung out with, my circle of friends, they were these guys are tough, okay? Everybody knew these guys were tough in Quincy. I wasn't tough. I was around the tough guys. I wasn't a tough guy. And but I thought of myself as being very tough. And so when it came up that Paul wanted to fight me, I'm like I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy. And I was like so confident. Never been in a fight. I've been around other people fighting, but not my own. And so the fight was scheduled for the day before Thanksgiving. This is like high school, and Paul was a junior. I remember on the day of the fight, I'm in the halls of my high school, and Paul was like this big time hockey player, and he's like the captain of the team, whatever. And I was talking so much crap about Paul, people started to kind of buy into the hype that I was like the secret tough guy, especially because the people I was around. And like all day in the halls, I'm like talking so much crap about Paul. And
He gets
people
his
are
ass
thinking,
kicked.
Hey man, you gotta take it easy on Paul, dude. Like he's a good guy. Like, don't hurt him. We need him. We need him for the hockey season. Okay, please don't hurt him. I'm like, yeah, I'll try not to hurt him. So we get up to this field, and I show up with this huge posse. 50 people that show up with me, and I'm like, shadow boxing. I'm such an idiot. God. I'm like so cocky. We get up there, and Paul's not there yet, and I'm like, this guy's pathetic. He's afraid of me. He's not even gonna make it here.
I'm embarrassed for him.
So like half an hour goes by, and I'm getting even more confident. Like, yeah, he's just scared of me. And then, of course, Paul shows up with no posse. He shows up with one guy, calm as can be. And he gets out and walks up this hill to where I am. I'm like, at the top of this hill, like, getting ready. And I have this line where he's getting closer and closer to me. And he's late, remember? And as he's getting closer to me, I go, while we're young, motherfucker. Like as if I'm going to beat him up. And then he's been so late. He proceeds to beat the out of me. The absolute out of me.
Yeah.
In front of the whole school. And everybody heard me say my big line. Like it was so outrageous that like not only did all of my peers know me for this, but even my teachers would come up to me like, "Hey man, how was that fight yesterday?" So that was Quincy. That's Quincy in a nutshell. So the next question was, what inspired me to ultimately leave Quincy and become a Navy SEAL? Obviously to compensate for the loss to Paul. No, the truth is, I came from a family that was really, really successful. I came from a family where academic achievement was always heralded as kind of the pinnacle of success. And while I certainly had the aptitude to be a good student, I instead was busy getting my ass kicked by Paul on the day before Thanksgiving. No, I rebelled. I didn't want to be an academic, but my way of rebelling was not to like put my energy into something else and be good at it. It was just to like be a lousy student and call that rebellion. And so by the end of high school, I had kind of so-so grades. I was a good baseball player growing up, but by the time I got to my senior year, it was like, So I kind of squandered baseball because I stopped really trying at all. My grades were pretty bad, and I just realized that, I've kind of done nothing with my life. My mom, who's a professional writer, she ended up getting me into college. She wrote my college essay, and in fact, my grades were so bad, but my essay was so good that the college reached out to me, and they were like, "Hey, you're kind of a non-traditional candidate here because your grades are awful, but your essay was so good, you can come to our school." And so I got accepted into the University of Massachusetts, located in Amherst, Massachusetts. I get to Amherst and I promptly fail out effectively after one semester. I was spending my time not going to class, and that's pretty much it. There was a big riot on campus that I may or may not have been involved in, and there were some images of me, and so I had to withdraw from the school to avoid failing out / getting in trouble for this riot. And I remember I came back home, and I'm literally living in my mother's basement. And it really dawned on me now that like I hadn't done much at the end of high school, and my mom had hooked it up and got me into college. Now I've blown that too. I remember feeling so pathetic. What have you done here? You are a joke. So I decided that I didn't want to be a failure anymore. I wanted to do something with my life, and I figured the first step is graduating college. And so I ended up getting into another school locally in Boston, so the University of Massachusetts, Boston. It's a different campus. For 3 semesters went there. I worked at a gym in the morning at like 5 a.m., checking people into a gym, and then I would take the train in to Boston, take some classes there, and then I'd come home and stay in my mom's basement. It was a really important time in my life because it was like the first time I was holding myself accountable. I had no sympathy from my mom or my parents. They're like, you screwed it up. You can figure out college, do whatever you got to do, but you're getting your life together on your own, which was something I needed in my life for sure. It was around this time that I started thinking about the military, because a lot of my friends in high school had joined the Marine Corps and gone overseas to Iraq and to Afghanistan, and I really idolized them. And I always had a real interest in the military, and it was around this time, these formative years, where my mom, of all people, her best friend's 2 brothers were both retiring Navy SEALs. And my mom was like, well, why don't you go talk to them about the military? And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I've like played Navy SEALs in video games. And so I went and met with them, and I was just so taken with them as people. The thing with Navy SEAL training, if you don't know anything about it, it's incredibly accessible. Anybody, for the most part, can try out. but almost no one makes it through the rigorous training. I'm generalizing, but that's kind of how it works. So in order to succeed in the training pipeline, which is very long, very difficult, you just got to be able to suck it up and suffer for a really long time. And if you make it through all that, you can become a Navy SEAL. And it's kind of like you're reborn in a way. And that's the way they were talking about becoming a SEAL. It's like whoever you were before you became a SEAL kind of goes away and you become something new. And it really spoke to me. And I was at that point in my life where I was just starting to get my life back together, taking classes and trying to graduate. And it just seemed like I had suddenly discovered the thing that was perfect for me. If I could just get through Navy SEAL training, I could be in the military, which is something I was interested in. I would be able to also kind of overwrite a lot of the bad decisions I made and a lot of the mediocrity in my life, so that when people look back at me, it will not be the guy that could have done a bunch of things but ultimately didn't, and it would instead be, man, that John Allen, he really got his act together. And that worked for me. That was enough. But I stuck to college. I did end up graduating college.
Hell
I would
yeah.
actually
Doesn't
go
look
back
like
to the
him
University
at
of
all.
Massachusetts at Amherst in Western Mass. That's where I'd meet my wife, Amanda.
He
We
became
started
a
dating while I
SEAL.
was out there, and I graduated
And
college,
then-
and then I immediately went to a recruiter, and I joined the Navy and went off to SEAL training. The training to become a SEAL, it's very, very long. Basically almost 2 years of training. 15% of people will be successful and actually become SEALs. But you got to remember that the initial pool of people that are in that statistic are highly qualified. One of the questions was, what's the hardest part of SEAL training? For me personally, was a test called pool comp, where it's about the halfway point of selection phase, which
Drown
is
your
called
ass.
BUDS, or basic underwater demolition SEAL training. And there's a 20-minute test where you basically show that you can withstand an underwater emergency with your scuba tanks on. So really what happens is you go underwater and you stay there for 20 minutes while instructors come down and turn your air off and rip the hoses out of your mouth. But every time they're like assaulting you, you got to go in the fetal position and like wait for them to stop tying knots in your hoses. You might see your mouthpiece over here, but you got to go through the same procedures. Reach back, you do all these different things to regain your air source. So you end up becoming quite hypoxic, so you're very low on oxygen. And so of the 20-minute test, really you're spending about half of that without air. Really the whole point of the test is, do the procedures, but show you can keep your composure. And I was just horrible at this test. Full panic mode, like no composure. I was like the poster child of what not to do. But I ultimately, on the day that I passed, I kind of went in the pool with this reckless abandon, like, you know what? I'm just gonna go in there and drown. That's my approach. And it made it pretty simple. Like, I just don't care anymore. I'm gonna just go in the pool and do these stupid procedures and probably drown. And believe it or not, that was enough for me. One of the more popular questions was, what was my scariest or most difficult experience as a Navy SEAL? And so I have one that stands out above all others, and it's actually what ultimately led to me leaving the SEAL teams. And that was when I got blown up in Afghanistan in 2014. We're in this area in Afghanistan that was definitely a bad guy town. We had gone in during the day and started getting shot at. A couple of our partner force had gotten shot. Our dog got shot. It was a bad start to the day. And over the course of about 6 hours, we were kind of fighting rooftop to rooftop with these people that just kept vanishing. And by the end of the night, we were getting ready to leave this little city. We had all we, as in our SEAL team, our platoon, had broken up into little groups called fire teams, like pockets of 5-6 people out of the 25 of us that were there. And my fire team, not mine like I was in charge, I was just in this fire team. We were located on a section of the city, kind of closer to the exit of the city. And as we're getting ready to leave, one of our drones spots a group of people, not Americans, not SEALs, that are located near the exit, and our fire team was nearest to them. And so we decided, our fire team, we would just go over and scout out who these people were, because we've been getting shot at all day, and we don't know where people are anymore, and we're worried that if we don't inspect this group, that they could be planning an attack on us when we try to leave, because we're getting ready to leave here. So we end up walking down this alleyway, and we're going down this like T alleyway. When we get down the stem here and reach the head of the T, if you will, we're expecting to be able to look over this wall and look out across this field and see this group of men that are hiding. But when we got down to the end of the alleyway, they weren't across the field on that wall.
They were right there.
They were on this wall, like a foot away from us, on the immediate other side of the wall. And they hadn't heard us sneak up and they were, enemy combatants, and they had grenades with the pins already pulled out as a defensive mechanism in case they were compromised. And in the craziest few seconds of my life, grenades are coming over the wall, there's shooting happening on both sides. The grenade actually came over and hit my shoulder and landed next to me and detonated. And I remember kind of getting up and looking around, and it's just chaos. We're in this like tight little alleyway, and there's just gunfire everywhere. And I was just expecting to either die from bleeding or have one of the bad guys come from around the wall and finish me off. I tried to stand, I couldn't stand. Somebody came over and dragged me around down that T section. I'm down here now. And so he told me to put my tourniquets on. It's a device that helps you stop bleeding. And then he went back down to help other people. I couldn't get my tourniquets off of my kit. I couldn't put them on. I was bleeding to death. And I remember thinking about my wife, and I went deaf and blind. And I remember being like, I'm gonna die in Afghanistan. It was not so much a matter of will I die, so much as I'm currently dying. It's interesting, your body, your brain is acutely aware when something really bad is happening, and it's more matter of fact than anything else. As I'm preparing to die, I remember just wishing that my wife and I had started a family before I deployed, because we actually kind of pushed it off and said, let's get through a deployment, and then, when you come back, we can think about having kids. And so I just was like, man, I wish I had started a family. And then I passed out thinking that would be the end. But my medic was an all-star. He ran over, and while I'm laying there, was able to stop the bleed. My interpreter laid over me and protected me because we're still in the middle of a gunfight. I was worthless. My teammates were able to call in airstrikes and call in medical support, and we were able to hightail our way out of there, and I was saved thanks entirely to my team. The most popular question is, how did I become inspired to go from all that to telling scary stories on the internet? It's been a bit of a journey. I got medically retired in 2017, and I co-founded and was the CEO of a charity called Elite Meet, which is this organization that helps Navy SEALs and other elite special operators get jobs in the private sector. It was built in large part to help me get a job. Ironically, my job became running a service that helps people get jobs. But I did that for a few years. I'm still on the board of Elite Meet. I also co-founded a kind of the opposite of Elite Meet. It's called Operators Association, and it helps aspiring special operators. It's like a mentorship platform for them. It's on Patreon, and we help them become special operators. So kind of hitting on both ends of the spectrum, and I'm still a partner over there. And so while I was building those two companies, I saw a need to really leverage social media to get the word out about your companies and what you're doing. That's what everybody does. And so my go-to was sharing my experience as a Navy SEAL and talking about my Navy SEAL experience and drawing people onto my pages that way, and then kind of funneling them to my other business ventures that are both military related. But it was really difficult because the topics I was talking about, it draws a lot of negativity from the active duty community that are in the SEAL teams. They don't necessarily like it when people like me are talking, about being a Navy SEAL and all the things I've done, because it comes off as very self-centered and very like, look at me, look how great I am. And I'm not acting like I wasn't doing that in my posts, but it's a bad look, and I started getting a lot of negativity from some people in the community. I was mad about it, and I felt betrayed, but ultimately, I made my own decisions. I chose to do what I was doing and decided that all I can do is maybe try to change my content style and focus on something else. I also just felt like I was running out of stories to tell, and so for a lot of reasons, I didn't want to be doing what I was doing, which was a lot of Navy SEAL-centered content. And on a whim, I posted a story on TikTok about the Dyatlov Pass incident. These Russian hikers go off into the wilderness, get lost, and everybody speculates that like some monster killed them or something.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this. I've always been interested in spooky, mysterious stuff. I find myself researching that on my own. So I'm just interested in this. And so like out of left field, I'm doing like Navy SEAL content, Navy SEAL content, Navy SEAL content. Dyatlov Pass, Russian hikers go missing in the mountains in the 1950s. But it went viral on TikTok. So I was like, that's great, I'll do another one. And I started posting some stories, more and more stories about like scary stuff and mysterious unsolved mysteries. And it really took off, I think in part because I'm really, really passionate about telling stories, one, but specifically I'm really interested in strange, dark, and mysterious content because I had either a really intense sleep paralysis story or a paranormal one, or maybe some combination, but you can check it out. It's one of my more popular videos on my YouTube channel. It's just
I didn't
what
need to
saw
see
in
the
my
picture.
My TikTok
I
really
hate
blew
that
up.
picture.
It's at 6.6 million followers now, which is just mind-blowing to me. And I've transitioned over to YouTube so that I can make this a career. I can actually go full-time on YouTube, and that's what I've been doing now for the past 2 months. A lot of people ask, what is it like to be a YouTuber? It's unbelievable how much time goes into this. I love doing it, so this is not me complaining, it's the opposite, but all I think about is YouTube. That is all I think about. I wake up, I'm on YouTube. I'm watching YouTube, I'm thinking about YouTube, I'm watching tutorials on how to be a better speaker, how to be a better YouTuber, and then I'm pouring into documents that I've been saving and articles I'm supposed to read, and every day I'm probably spending I don't know, 5 hours of research for that day's video, even if I already know it. I'll spend 5 hours just researching it and internalizing the story. I spend about an hour to maybe even an hour and a half actually filming it. I do a single take on my iPhone. I film everything on my iPhone. I don't have a script. Now, let me be clear here. I do write a script, but the best way to tell a story, in my opinion, is to be the story. Be in the story. And you can't do that if you're reciting a script. And so I like internalize the story. That's why it takes me so many hours to really get ready for a story. I need to really feel like I'm in it. And so the script serves as more like a guide, but I'll look at a script, I'll think about it, and then I'll tell the story. So I would say for any video, it takes about 6 to 7 hours just from, okay, I have the idea, research it, internalize it, shoot it, and then I spend another 2 hours at night doing the rough cut edit, not even the full edit. I kick it to my amazing editor. Shout out to Wes J. Adams. He's my guy. Shout out to you, Wes. He takes the rough cut and he puts in the imagery and he makes it much sexier, and then we upload it the next day. And since I'm posting 5 days a week, we have to be on a schedule where we're always a couple posts ahead. So pretty much there is no off time, with the exception of maybe Saturday. But it's a really, I feel like I'm in such a privileged position. I love doing this. I'm proud of what I'm doing, and it's just so much fun to do something that I so fundamentally enjoy doing. So a couple fun facts about me. I use little tech decks, little hand skateboards, kind of like little ramps and stuff.
But do you have a hookups tech
I'll
deck?
literally sit here and like flip around with my tech deck the whole time to like jog my creative mind. Also, on the notion of little skateboards, I was world ranked in the game Skate. It's a video game on PlayStation 3.
No way, dude! That is like my favorite game.
It's a game where you would like do a trick, and then somebody else tries to match your trick. If they can't match it, they get a letter until they spell out SKATE, and then they lose. I was playing this all the time when I was in college, and I didn't even know I was so good at it. And I was just beating everybody, and I started getting all these notifications from people being like, "Dude, you're not even that good. Like, my brother played you last night. You weren't even that good, man. I don't know how you're like world ranked." And I went to the leaderboard, and there I was. So, but when I do have some spare time, I do like gaming. I mostly just play offline. You know, I'm 31, not like big into online gaming. Didn't really grow up with it. But I'll play like sports games. Like I love.
Dude,
MLB
this is
The
so
Show. I'm a
me.
baseball fan, but like I don't really
Not a
play the
huge
game.
baseball fan.
I just like
but-
edit the rosters and perfect everything about the rosters.
He
to
looks
where,
like a baseball
you know,
fan.
make sure their
Yeah.
cleats are the right color and that their numbers are right and their stats are right. Like it's almost like I'm taking a sports game and turning it into a life simulation. Like
Yeah, I
He
do that
played
too.
myself, I'm gonna
baseball,
edit these
though,
rosters
so-
and
I
make
do
them
the same
perfect,
shit
and
with
then I'm
football and
gonna play that
basketball
game.
games.
And then I never get to playing it. I just edit the rosters and then don't play the game. I don't
Yeah.
know if this was even an interesting episode or not, but I'm more than happy to do more of these or maybe answer more specific questions, but I think I touched on the big ones. I do want to say that I am just so thankful that I even have this opportunity to have people that actually want to see my videos. It's an incredible thing. I feel so lucky. I really genuinely wish I could get to know every single one of you guys and gals, because this is just, it's a dream come true for me and my family, and I just can't thank you enough. So if you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please push the like button into the Grand Canyon, and also subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. Same username for both platforms. It's JohnBallin416. Also, I have a ton of content on TikTok. My username over there is Mr. Ballin. And if you have a story submission, please submit it to our subreddit. It's just called Mr. Ballin. It's linked below. I read that every day. If I intentionally use your story, I will credit you. So whether I see you on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, here on YouTube, or some combination, I'm just incredibly thankful. And until next time, guys, that's going to do it. See ya.
Oh, no.
All right, so I wanted to bring you into my dojo where I create all of my content. It's called the Mustard Room. It's pretty high speed, so don't be intimidated.
It's my setup. It's nice and neat.
Dude, he's got the same light we've got.
Magic happens right here. Here's my ring light.
That's the same light we have.
Tripod. Got my. I use tech decks when I'm trying to become more creative. Yes, this is my.
It's so messy.
This is my setup right here.
The Mustard Room.
Ah, not the picture.
Dude, I almost want to watch this one now.
You need to challenge him in Skate.
No. I love Skate 3, and I've been playing Skate 3 forever and ever. From the 360 to the Xbox One to now the Series X, I've still been... And he played on PS3, too, so we got a little differences there. And he was a Navy SEAL. I fucking wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I was a hospital corpsman.
Yeah.
I wasn't even an FMF corpsman. I was at a clinic, so I don't want any comparisons to that Fleet Marine Force. So that's the medics that go out with the Marines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so his experience and my Navy experience were vastly different.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, the Navy is fucking huge. The United States military in general is fucking gigantic. The amount of money spent, it's just like quadruple any other country, and has been for years.
Yeah.
So I don't want to act like I know anything about that life, but it's really cool how much I have in common with this guy.
Yeah.
But we're right around the exact same age. And
yeah, when was that put out?
Last year. So we're
you're
both
the
like
same
32.
age. Yeah.
And guys that grew up in our time, skateboarding, sports games, like he was saying, it wasn't online like that. Like music and shit, like punk rock music, like pop punk was really big, nu metal, rap, and like, it was just a different time. The tech decks are funny. I wonder, does Mr. Ballin have a hookups tech deck? They didn't put them out for a long, like it's one of those things that was there for a while and then just kind of wasn't for whatever reason.
Yeah. You don't have one. You have the shirts.
I had the tech deck that I had was the two-handed one. Remember, I had that one tech deck that was kind of big.
One. Yeah.
And you had to use two hands for it. But I used to use the lead pencils, their little clip. I would break that off and pretend it was a skateboard at school and stuff all the time.
Oh my god!
Because I didn't have tech decks, but I didn't really want to have those at school because you could get away with playing with your pencil thing. But if they saw you with the tech decks, you would get in trouble. Like anything that you enjoyed.
Everything.
Yeah, Tamagotchis, Pokemon cards,
jelly
sports
bracelets.
cards. The girls
Not
were always...
y'all. I didn't have nothing to do with
listen,
that.
The girls were always making up secret meanings. Well, if you've ever been kissed, then you put on one. And you'd see girls that have like 26 of them, and it's like, oh God, she's been pregnant 3 times.
The meaning of it was at my school.
I mean, I know, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was always afraid.
I would love to talk to this guy. I would love to have like a podcast style conversation with this guy.
Well, it's like really inspirational too, because like whenever I went to college, it just seemed like everyone, for the most part, like knew what they wanted to do with their lives, and I've always just kind of been like, I don't know. I know what I really don't like, but it's hard for me. Like I've always just kind of gradually like I was okay in high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Went to community college, was just kind of like fumbling around with my life like him.
Yeah.
That's how we started talking, because I was like, should I go into the military? Like,
probably
what do I
not.
need to do with my life? And then we started our relationship. Like, it just always kind of stumbled upon the next thing, just like YouTube with us. Like,
yeah.
it's not something that I ever expected to do. Literally one day, Chad had been trying to get me to do it forever, and I was like, I don't know anything about this stuff, which
and
is
I was
kind
like,
of
that's the point
of
that's
it.
why
Now I
want
get
you to see.
it works now. And then one day I had like sweatpants on, just chilling around the house, and he's like, please just do this video with me. And I was like, fuck it, whatever. And so our first video, and they were so bad. They're so bad.
They're
but
still not
you just,
that good.
Yeah, you just learn and keep progressing and figure out what you like. And
Yeah.
I like
well,
that
he
said
got
that.
heat from the SEAL community, evidently. And I noticed, even in the way when he first started talking about it,
Yeah.
I was able to tell he's walking on eggshells right now.
Yeah.
Because even the way did you notice how he corrected himself and said, was not my, like, I'm leading the team.
Yeah.
Because the terminology, dude, now this motherfucker thinks he's out here trying to speak like he's leading a fire. It's
That's
like,
how you felt when you were in the Navy?
And it's just like, when you get into these high testosterone, like proud anythings, the totem pole is extremely important, and any misrepresented, any kind of, but there's so many posers
it's like
out
you're
there.
Stepping up.
Well,
kind of
what
thing.
these people are proud of is something that is so incredible to achieve that and there are so many people that are posers. That's the problem. That's why they have to be that way. It's because there's so many, like, stolen valor, and plus, when you're out there in the middle of some crazy shit, you got to know who the man is and who's making the calls for you and shit like that. So, like, rank structure and, like, who's the man and shit like that is, like, super important in so many ways, in so many different areas where people have to work their asses off to get where they're at. So I noticed he was kind of just like making sure not to misrepresent so that everybody understands what the deal is. And hats off to him. That's something I don't ever do. Hats off to you, Mr. Ballin. Because you do a great job at what you do. You do it with grace. And you should be very highly respected for what you did in the military, being a part of that elite group. And I think it's badass that you've tried to help people on both ends of it.
Absolutely. Like when he got out, what he did with his
that is
experience, with his
extremely
knowledge.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely cool. And I understand, like, why certain SEAL things, you know, a lot of that stuff is for the safety of the people still doing it. And
Right.
things like that. And I also understand why they want to keep people from misrepresenting and stuff. But it seems like Mr. Ballin's just trying to be straight up. Yeah. And it's something he should be able to brag on, because that's crazy. And, you know, people are like, I ran a triathlon. Look at me. My picture, this motherfucker had a grenade bounce off of his fucking shoulder.
Fucking
a live,
Christ.
active, about to blow his ass up grenade. What? Okay. Talk about it. You know, for me. But, I mean, I get it. I just don't always, you know, that's the reason why I never signed up for it. You know how many frustrated, pity me, woe is me, I should have been that hard ass, I just couldn't make it motherfuckers I met in the military who washed out of SEAL school? They didn't make it, dude, and you would have thought, I'm talking about, they had something to prove, man.
Yeah.
Bad. All of them.
Well, I think that's kind of the large majority of, like, the people that do that. Like, I would imagine, and that's how I would look at it. It was like, dude, if I was going to try to do something that hard, it would be to try to be like, I'm the hardest motherfucker in the room kind of thing.
I tried the physical fitness test for SWCC, which was the boat crew that, like, picks up and drops off the SEALs kind of shit. It's, like, right there with the SEALs. Goddamn, I almost drowned in the fucking swimming pool at the University of Tennessee trying to do the fucking laps just to even for them to consider letting me even try. This motherfucker pulled me up by the back of my trunks with one arm and fucking sat me, little dude, and lifted me up and sat me down. Was like, learn how to swim and come back. And I was just like, nope. I was like, no, dude. I know where I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. I did ask to go to Fleet Marine training, but it was during a time where Obama was drawing back stuff, and there just wasn't seats in that class, and they were like, well, you can reapply for it later on, but here's what we want you to do now. And I'm like, all right. So to hear about all that stuff and everything, and to have just peered slightly kind of into that, and that been enough to like rock me.
Fuck no.
I was just like, no, this guy's a fucking beast. And that's what he didn't put over in this. He didn't put over how fucking crazy you have to be and mentally strong to get through the shit he got through. Even to put that fucking trident on your goddamn uniform, you have got to be a goddamn animal. So this guy's a total badass. And to be able to have that and also have the charisma and the ability to get in front of the camera, tell these stories and
seems
shit.
Totally down to earth. Like, I don't get that from him.
Well, see, there's the difference though. The people that I met that did make it were not trying to prove anything.
Oh.
You would be talking to them and somebody would introduce you, and you'd be well into meeting them before, unless they were wearing it, you knew. Because it wasn't this
proud,
guess what,
cocky,
motherfucker.
arrogant.
Well, I mean, they were definitely there. You know, it wasn't, I'm going to put my neck over top of you to prove, like...
Because they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, very, very interesting to learn more about this guy. And it makes me just more sure of the fact that his stories are going to be a staple of our reactions.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
for
so...
sure. I'm really glad that someone recommended.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, your dad had sent her... Nikki's dad does this thing on Facebook where he'll send us about 5 or 6 YouTube videos a day.
Or like 11 or 12.
A day.
Yeah.
And one of them was Mr. Bollins, and we didn't even know.
We didn't know it was Mr. Bollins because it was like...
well, he just gets lost in the sauce of so many.
And a lot of them just look like clickbait stuff.
Yeah.
And so the thumbnail was like, so-and-so's husband.
No, Katy Perry's
ex-husband. And I was like, what is he sending? What is this? I don't... And then I was like, a few days later, I was like, Chad, that was from Mr. Bollins. So, he was actually sending something.
He was actually sending something good. But
love you, Dad.
If I send you 11 videos a day, one of them better be good. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to watching more of his stuff. If you guys are watching something by Mr. Ballin for the first time and it's on our channel, you need to be going to his. We're going to have a link down in the description of
subscribe.
This video. Go subscribe to his channel. Go check out his stories. Because they're worth it. You know, if we didn't have other videos to react to, I would go into watching more of his stuff. The sleep paralysis thing. Yeah. I had my own experience with that.
We will get into that.
I would love to talk to him about that, though.
And I didn't know what it was.
I would love to talk to him about that.
Well, we'll just say this.
There's more times. We're going to keep balling. Yeah. This was a great video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to our channel, like our channel, subscribe to Mr. Ballin's channel, like all his videos. Do all that wonderful stuff that you do. Also, with this original videos link, there will be a link to our Discord. What can they do there, Nikki?
They can see what cool things we're up to, and they can give us recommendations. But if you're not on Discord and you don't want to be on Discord, you can leave them in the comments below.
That would be cool. For this video, that's going to do it.
See you guys.
Bye.